Hey, this is Gary with Optimal Cruising. Welcome to our channel and the 5 cabins you must avoid on your next cruise. We have been cruising for a lot of years. We have been on many cruise ships and cruise lines, and we have a lot of friends in the cruising industry, so we are going to make you an expert in choosing your next cruise cabin. And at the end of this video, we're going to give you the one tip experts tell us people always get wrong. Let's get started. Number 5, we highly recommend staying away from booking a balcony cabin that does not face the ocean. Now, if you're new to cruising, this can happen because the modern, larger cruise ships have an interior atrium area that basically spans the whole of the ship, and they have balcony cabins that overlook that atrium or that main street where people walk up and down, where all the shops are and some restaurants and bars are. The problem with these interior balcony cabins is you'll pay almost as much as a balcony cabin that's overlooking the sea. And why are we going on a cruise anyway, if not to see the ocean? But if you have one of these balconies that overlooks the promenade or the atrium, you're not going to have a sea view. So basically you're looking out into the interior of the ship, and you could have a lot more noise and less privacy because those areas are crowded. People like to look up in windows. People from across the way like to look into the windows. So you're going to find yourself keeping those shades and blinds closed more often. And those promenades can be noisy if they have events going on, when they have live music going on, and just in general with all the people and chatter going on. So keep that in mind. These aren't the best cabins. Now, that being said, if you get an incredible deal on one, hey, why not? But if you're paying the regular price, avoid the interior balcony cabin. Number 4, cabins below the pool deck. You definitely want to avoid this area of the ship because it's a high traffic, high volume area that offers a lot of activities all day long and on some evenings well into the night. And if your cabin is directly below the pool deck, you're going to hear that noise. Everything from foot traffic to the workers sliding chairs around, reorganizing things, which they do every evening and every morning, very early in the morning. You're going to hear music from when they have live music going on out there, when they have parties and other events. It's going to resonate into your room. So you want to be careful about this cabin, especially if you're the kind of person that likes to go back and have a little nap in the middle of the day. That might be counterproductive in a cabin right below the pool deck. So if you don't want the noise, if you want a little more peace and quiet, just go one deck below that and you'll be good. 2 decks below the pool deck and you should be fine. Number 3, cabins in the very forward or front of the ship, especially if you're prone to motion sickness. And this is because the front of the ship tends to feel the rocking motion of the waves of the ocean more than the back of the ship. So that is one issue people find with cabins in the forward or front of the ship. Another issue can be noise, especially if you're on a lower deck, because that's where you hear the waves crashing against the hull of the ship. And when seas are high, that can produce a kind of metallic banging sound, and people have complained on end about this in these forward cabins. So those are cabins you want to avoid if you're looking for peace and quiet. Number 2, you definitely want to avoid booking a balcony cabin on the lowest deck of the ship that has balcony cabins. And this, unfortunately, can vary widely from one ship to another. But here's the reasoning behind this. Ships are organized by room classes, and the balconies will start at a certain level and then they'll go up pretty much to the top of the ship. And below the balcony cabins, there'll be some decks with just ocean view cabins and inside cabins, of course. So that first deck where the balconies start is often going to be more of an obstructed view, and you're paying the same price as a balcony cabin a deck or two up where you won't have an obstructed view. Now, sometimes these rooms are listed as having an obstructed view, especially if you're going to have, say, a lifeboat out in front that's going to block part of your view. You're still going to see part of the ocean, but it's not as nice and probably you'll be disappointed. The other issue is on many ships, especially older ships, that first row, that first deck with balconies has kind of a ledge that is over the top of all of the lifeboats that are on there, and that ledge blocks your view. So you can't see down directly into the water, you can only see off into the horizon. For some people that's not an issue, but it's something you need to be aware of, and that's why we recommend staying away from that first deck that has balcony cabins if you're going to pay extra for a balcony, because if you're spending and putting that money out there, get the balcony with the best view. They're all the same price. And number one, avoid cabins near the elevators. Now, most cruise ships have at least two main elevator places in the front and in the back of the ship. Some bigger cruise ships also have one in the middle, a third elevator shaft. And so you want to avoid cabins that are next to those elevators because they can be a lot more noisy. The sound travels from the elevators where people have loud conversations, and you just in general have more people walking to and from the elevators right in front of your room at all hours of the morning and night, and their voices carry. These rooms are not that soundproof. Now, that being said, we did a short video on this same topic, and we got a lot of comments from people stating that they stayed in staterooms near elevators and had absolutely no problem. So there are going to be situations where it's perfectly quiet and there's no issue. In fact, some ships that I have been on actually close the door between the elevators and the staterooms to kind of cut down on that noise funneling through. But there's no guarantee. So if you want a guarantee of peace and quiet, we highly recommend staying away from cabins that are near the elevator. Now, interestingly enough, this is the one tip that experts tell us people get wrong all the time. Because if you have mobility issues, you might need to be near an elevator, and that might outweigh the issue of hearing extra noise in your room. And in some cases, it's possible you might not hear that noise. So you need to look at what's important to you. That's the bottom line. Experts tell us some people are afraid to stay near elevators because they think that there's going to be loud, so they avoid them at all costs. But if you need the convenience of that, choose those rooms. You might just be fine. In any case, you need to look at the pros and cons and decide what's best for your situation. So those are the 5 cabin types to avoid. Now here are a few tips and tricks that can help you find the best cabin for what you need. So if motion sickness is a big issue for you, try to book in the middle or the rear, the aft of the ship. The motion tends to be less pronounced in those areas, and you won't feel the movement as much, so you'll get more rest and you'll feel less nauseous at times when the seas are high. Another tip, if you haven't heard this one before, get those scopolamine patches that you see people wear behind their ears. You're going to see loads of people on the cruise wearing these. They do work. Now, if you want convenience of being near an elevator, but you don't want to risk the noise, book a lower deck, because the lower decks will have much less noise, even being near the elevator, because all of the sound that travels through those elevator shafts is mostly from the higher decks. So it will be quieter on the lower decks. And if you're a family traveling with kids, you want to do your research and look at your map of your cruise ship before you go, and look at the areas where they're going to be most likely entertained and wanting to go. If it's the water slides, if it's the kids club, if it's the sports deck, and get a cabin on that side of the ship, because it'll be a lot easier for you just to go up and down to those things with the kids every time you're doing an activity than if you're on the opposite end of the ship and every time that they need to go do something or one of their activities, you got to walk the whole length of the ship. So a little research and figuring out where those things are that the kids are going to want to do, or even that you're going to want to do, and getting a cabin that are near those venues. So the biggest complaints we get from people about their cruise cabins has to do with noise or obstructed views. Now that you've learned the 5 cabins you want to avoid on your next cruise, there's one more thing that will be a game changer in making your next cruise an excellent experience. But first, we're going to show you a way to make sure you get the best prices on your next cruise. Now, it's super easy to find the best cruise prices with the link on our website. You just go down to the description of the video right below the video you're watching, click on More to open up all of the description, and you'll see right there the best cruise prices are here. It's a clickable link. All you need to do is click on that link and wait for a second for your browser to bring up the new web page where it's going to show you all of the available cruises, what the prices are. You can pick your dates, the time of year. You can select any cruise line you want if you want a specific one, or you can just look at destinations in general. And it's important to know they have a full service customer care on this website where you can chat with a travel agent, you can call them on the phone, or you can book everything online yourself. It's completely up to you and easy to do. So for more on the techniques most experts are using when cruising, but they don't talk about, click on the link below for our next video.